Did you know that the way you set goals is actually going to determine whether or not you achieve them? Hi, I'm Melanie Benson Strick, and small business optimizer and revenue strategist for visionary entrepreneurs. I want to talk about goals today because one of the big things that happens, especially when it's early in the year, is we're really excited about some new goals, maybe big projects. If you're like most of the people I work with, you've got a huge vision. But way too often towards the end of the year, we start looking at all the things we accomplished and all the things we didn't accomplish. And there's oftentimes a lot of fire drills and emergencies and unplanned things on that list. Some of them are probably good and created some unexpected wins, but ultimately, all too often, we have too many goals that didn't get accomplished. Now, I actually learned a technique a long time ago. I use this with my clients. And some of it's kind of basic. I'll tell you that right out of the gate. But there's a couple of pieces of this process that actually will make sure that when you're setting your goal, you actually achieve it. And so I want to share it with you. It's part of a program I used to teach called the Unstoppable Goal Formula. But first of all, let's get clear that there's one thing that has to happen. Wait, back up for a second. Get a pen and paper. I don't sell this program anymore, so there's no place you can come buy it on my website. So I want to make sure I teach it to you so you can go back and put it into action right away. All right, so step one, and this is actually before we get to the goal setting process, but it's critical. And this is something that really kind of ties into our mindset. It's what I teach in Money DNA Mastery, and that is that you have to start with a decision. Now, I don't mean the decision of I want to have that thing. I mean, you got to get all in. You have to commit and really anchor in that you want this outcome. Otherwise, it's just a nice idea. And when other things come up that are other nice ideas, you'll end up distracted. So step number one, before you do anything else, is you've got to make the decision and commitment to be all in. Now, let's assume that this goal, or it could be a project or even an idea, you've made this decision, you're all in, you're 100% committed. Now what? So I want to go back to a technique called the SMART goal formula, but I've got a little bit of a twist on it. Okay, so don't assume you know it yet, especially if you're setting goals you're not achieving. All right, so step number one in this SMART goal formula is S equals specific. So why do I bring this back up? Even though everybody knows the SMART goal formula, I can't tell you how many people that when they tell me what their goal is, they are not specific. I want to make more money is not a specific goal. A specific goal is I want to add $10,000 every month to my revenue streams, or I want to have a $100,000 year, or I want to have a 7-figure business. And those are specific, more specific, so we can even get more specific than that probably. But if you use ambiguous statements, your mind isn't clear. You don't really know when you've achieved it. And I'll give you a little hint here. If you don't set specific goals, it's because you're playing it safe and you don't want to admit that you failed if you don't achieve it. Just saying. So, and by the way, the Money DNA Mastery Program can help you with that if that tends to come up for you, because that's a little bit of a mindset and fear issue that's playing out. Okay, let's get to the second step in it, and that's your R. Oh, gosh, sorry. I can't even spell today. So that's your M, measurable. How will you know when you've achieved it? Now, I'm not going to get into measuring today. It's a huge conversation. Maybe I'll do another power-up session on that soon. But the measurable means you can measure when it's done. Okay, so there's a specific definition of success that is good for you and good for the world around you, and you know that you've gotten there. Okay, so that's measurable. Now the third one is A, and that's aligned. Okay, and I mentioned this a minute ago, but it has to be good for you, good for your family, and good for your community and the people you serve. Here's why. And you can tell me, look at all the successes that people who don't have integrity, they're not authentic have. Yes, that's true, but there's always a cost. You just might not know what it is. When you are in alignment, you eliminate unconscious conflicts that cause you to self-sabotage. So when I'm looking for alignment, I'm looking for, is this aligned with the vision that you say you want in your life or your business in your life? Is it aligned with what is authentically unique to you? Is it aligned with your value systems? And when it's a yes, you have more power in that goal. If it's a no and you're doing something for the wrong reasons, you might make some traction. But what I've noticed over almost 15 years teaching this work now is that you probably will sabotage somewhere along the way, blow it up, or it'll lose its power and its interest to you and you'll go off to something else. Bottom line is, if you're in conflict, you'll tend to procrastinate, and we don't want that. Okay, now let's get to R, realizable. Okay, why is this important? Because we're taught in our world of big thinkers and people that, gurus that tell you to stretch and get out of your comfort zone. We're taught that you got to shoot for the moon, right? You got to go really, really big. And for some people, you do need really, really big goals in order to get yourself out of your normal to create new outcomes. Now, that is not me. I have done that, but that's not how I roll all the time. And most people need something that's realizable, which means it's a stretch. It's not your norm, but it's also realistic. And here's an example of what I mean. If you've been making, somewhere around $3,000 to $5,000 a month, setting your sights on $100,000 a month might just cause you to get paralyzed and freak out and not do anything. It's so far outside of your realm of possibility right now that most people, I will say 98% of people, will not be able to pursue that in a really, really powerful way. They'll bump into all their fears. It'll take them 10 times longer, right? But if we said, let's set your goal for $10,000 or $15,000 more per month. Now that's a stretch and it might be scary, but it's doable. Okay, so there is a possible path to that almost everybody can get to. Now, I am again saying that some people do need that really, really big challenge, especially if what you've been doing for a really long time isn't working. You need to kind of do a pattern interrupt and do a massive shift. But most people, when you do a realizable goal, it causes you to have movement that causes you to keep having wins, that keeps you in the game, keeps you going, keeps you motivated, keeps you inspired. So when I'm working with my clients, I kind of get inside their psyche a little bit and figure out what is their motivator, what keeps them engaged, and what turns them off and gets them so paralyzed that they can't move. And that's how we set the goals. So you have to know yourself here.
What if achieving higher levels of success was more about changing your thoughts than it was about changing your strategies? Hi, it's Melanie Benson Strick, and I've got a quick resource for you. I want to give you a free copy of my new book, Rewired for Wealth. And inside this book, I'm going to teach you what I personally learned about how my thoughts were either sabotaging or setting me up to create success and put it on autopilot. Now, this book is free for a limited time. You can grab it now at rewiredforwealth.com. Now, let's get back to our program.
Now let's get to the T in SMART. Wow, I'm really having a hard time with alphabet today, aren't I? All right, the T in SMART, timed in the present. Okay, here's a little bit where the secret sauce kicks in. When you do this process, you are not putting it out there somewhere in the future, because the part of us that is motivated and inspired, and when it gets really clear, moves into action. When we believe it's already done, we are 10 times more resourceful. Our mind goes into problem solving and activating miraculous ways of getting things done. Like we become a magnet for opportunities and possibilities that align with that goal. It helps us sort and make decisions better. But if it's out there in the kind of somewhere in the future, or it feels like it's always in the future, there's a part of us that goes, it's never really going to happen. It doesn't feel connected. So this is a little bit of an NLP, neuro-linguistic programming technique, to anchor the mind in the present tense with a goal that's out there and collapse the timeline so that we are finding ourselves doing whatever it takes to achieve the goal that is out there, but it feels like we're making it real now. So it's a big concept. Hopefully that kind of activates your curiosity a bit to want to explore this. This is actually the 6th step that I teach in my Money DNA Mastery program. And I actually have a process that I do where I take people out into the future and I anchor their goals in a way that makes it so they cannot fail. I did this with a client of mine. I used to actually teach this process in a live breakthrough training I used to do. And it's such a great story. He's actually, he's such a rock star. He was really kind of trying to find himself at the time, and he'd never done an event in his life. And we did this process, and he did the anchoring where he timed it in the present. Then we went out and did the little process, the visualization process of anchoring that experience out there in the future, making it really, really, really real. And next thing you know, it's 90 days later and he's actually achieved this goal. He's had his first event. I think I remember him telling me it was his first 6-figure event out of nothing. And he was just off and running after that. As a matter of fact, I just ran into him not too long ago in an event, and, he's a multimillionaire now. And I'm like, that's awesome. And he said, a lot of it started with that one exercise that he needed to get past his own challenges and fears and get back into a powerful place in his mind. So the time towards the positive is, don't let the goal be ambiguous out there in the future somewhere. Tell yourself it is now, whatever the date is, and I am or I have. Okay, so what that goal is defined specifically. And I know this to be true because, so this is the M, it's measurable, you've got evidence that it's real to you. And, we can take that a little bit deeper, but for the sake of today, that makes this something that you can really take action on. I think this is a great place to start. Now, if you find that you are like, I need more help with this, I don't really, know why I procrastinate, but I set goals, I never achieve them, or you find that you tend to self-sabotage along the way and you're starting to recognize you have fears, worries, doubts, maybe some limiting beliefs, or you tell yourself the story that something's not possible even though everyone else is able to do it, or you feel conflicted, like there's a war going on inside of you. I would highly recommend you start with this free resource I have. It's called Rewired for Wealth. You can get it at rewiredforwealth.com. It's a book, and it's downloadable and it's free. And we don't have it free for very much longer, so I would highly recommend you go get it today. And it will guide you through how to really kind of reprogram the inner game of your success programming. Like, how do you program yourself so that your goals are achievable, so that you don't self-sabotage and you actually are an unstoppable person who can achieve anything they set their mind to. Now, it doesn't matter what level of success you are right now. We all have something that's our next level. And this is one of the most powerful things I know out there to help you achieve that. So go grab the book. It'll be a great resource for you along the way. And there's some advanced training that's also free on the download page that you can sign up for if that speaks to you. I would love to take you as far as you'd like to go in your success. So for today, your job is to really go back to those goals you've set for the next 6 to 12 months and challenge yourself. Did I actually use a structure that will make this a surefire achievement? I'm Melanie Benson Strick, and I'll look forward to seeing you again next week. We'll be back with another guest to take you deep into a strategy to power up your business from the inside out. Bye for now.